Well, it's summer, everyone, and you know what that means. Vacation Bible School.
Yep, and popsicles. And craft time.
Oh, yeah. No, for me in Tennessee, we would try to time it so that when we went to Tennessee for our 2 weeks out of the summer, I would go during VBS, and they always got us those Brand X Oreos. They were not good. It was like... Like the one side was chocolate and the other side was vanilla. And then it wasn't Kool-Aid, but it was something like that where they mixed it from a packet. And that was our snack.
Yum. But are you saying that's a good thing? We're looking at the good?
It hyped us up. Woo!
Some more songs and some more little plays. There's a lot of good with the summer. And you might realize we're talking about the good of summer with regards to Christianity.
We are Red Weather Christians.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Jen.
And we are expats living in Spain trying to restore faith in humanity one story at a time.
On this season of Red Weather Christians, we'll be highlighting the feel-good stories that make us smile and remind us of the good in humanity.
We hope that as you listen, you become more mindful of the good, and that if you don't see it, you do it.
Or you be it.
So here we are, thinking about what's good about Christianity. Seasons 1 and 2 might have been really negative about Christianity.
Well, we were expressing our doubts and we had a lot of questions. We were coming from a place of frustration of being in the church for our whole lives and not really getting questions answered. But not only that, they didn't really encourage questions at all. So that's the place from which we started.
But if we go back to where we started before that, it was summer camps and VBS.
Yeah, that's good. So good. So much sugar for me. You know what else we did at this Tennessee, what was the church called? Mount Tabor Missionary Baptist Church. Yes, sir. So the other thing that they had us do is they had these scales that they would bring to the front of the sanctuary, and there would always be two teams, girls and boys, and you had to bring in coins, and that would be like your offering, and whichever team brought in a higher weight of coins would win. And it was a big deal. People were bringing in rolls of pennies. It was a big deal.
More weight.
I mean, it was cute. You know, like we got so into it. We sang silly songs. It was fun.
And that's not even starting to talk about camps. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I loved camp.
I was at Lake Langmore Bible Camp for at least 10 years as a camper or more, with counseling and working there, all the fun things.
And I was at Redwood Christian Camp in the Santa Cruz Mountains in California. It was gorgeous, beautiful, cool in the mornings, hot in the afternoons. Amazing.
And did those come with some odd legalistic religious views or practices?
Probably more so for you being in the Midwest than for me, but yes, definitely.
But regardless of those, it was still really fun and really good.
It was really fun. I mean, these poor college kids who are our counselors, they're just trying to do their best. They're just trying to show that they love Jesus and that they love us, and we're going to have a fun time.
And they were right.
We did have a fun time. And then later I became a counselor. Steve certainly did as well. And we got to enjoy that side of it as well.
And surprise, everyone, we're still Christians.
Ew. A little different, a lot different than the kind of Christians we were when we were growing up. The kind of Christians we were when we were first married, the kind of Christians we were 5 years ago. You know, it's always changing.
Seems like it anyway, for us.
Yeah.
Now, the question here is, we're going to dive into Christianity, what is it good for? But ultimately, I think religion is at the heart of the question in general.
Or God.
And so, what does religion or God do for people?
Yeah, many people argue, and understandably so, that religion is what causes wars, is what causes fighting. And you can see that in history. There's no denying that. And it's still happening today. Absolutely. That is not the kind of religion we are talking about.
And some people also say that religion is just lazy philosophy, where you're taking God to fill in all the gaps of your knowledge or understanding to explain away whatever you don't know.
Right, because you don't have to explain. You can just say, well, that's why I have faith. I have faith in the unknown. I'm okay with not knowing. And that is the explanation.
But I'm going to argue, and hopefully Jen's with me on this,
We'll see.
that ultimately religion, specifically the Christian one, but other religions too, gives people hope.
Hope is certainly something I think we all know we need in life.
So we're going to bring up some quotes. You can guess the religion before.
Ooh, it's a game. It's a game.
Or where you think it came from. I'll start with one. God does not burden a soul beyond that it can bear.
That sounds like it's from the Bible. I've heard something like maybe not exactly word for word, but from the Christian Bible.
I think the Christian Bible says God does not tempt someone beyond what they can bear.
Oh.
So this one actually comes from the Quran.
Oh.
But it sounds very similar, and it gives you hope that whatever you're facing in life isn't devastatingly difficult for you. You can bear it.
Okay, I have one. If you find no one to support you on the spiritual path, walk alone.
I think that was something like a middle school poster.
Yeah, that sounds like it's from like a school. No, I don't think a school would put that. Walk alone.
No, it was like stand up for what's right, even if you're standing alone.
Ah, yes. Oh, totally.
That's what I'm saying. But this one's a little bit different because it focused on the spiritual path part, so probably not in a school. But yeah, that is actually a Buddhist quote.
Ding, 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 ding.
Here's one that focuses in on what we really like about this season of our podcast. Some people spread happiness wherever they go. Others create happiness wherever they go.
I don't feel like that's from the Bible. That does not ring a bell from the Christian Bible.
I think with almost the couplets, it could have been a proverb.
Yeah, but I don't recognize it.
That's fine. It's from the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. So that's a Hindu quote.
All right, how about this one? If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it.
Ooh, I love that. You know what it reminds me of? A little bit. The aphorisms, that Benjamin Franklin was famous for, but I don't think it's that.
You're right, it's not that.
Okay.
Because that wouldn't be. Well, this one, oddly, isn't a religion at all.
I don't know. We should put some of those aphorisms on here. They were pretty good.
That one is a Stoic phrase from Marcus Aurelius.
Ah, Marcus. Good old Marcus.
Right.
Love him.
We're definitely on first name basis with Marcus Aurelius. You know how it is. And another one, how does it help to make troubles heavier by bemoaning them?
Oh my goodness. I need to get a big poster board, write out some bubble letters of this quote, and put it on my kids' wall in their room.
So they understand that it's just going to get worse.
Yeah, stop complaining.
Yeah, right.
Stop bemoaning.
Bad things might happen, but complaining about it doesn't help anybody.
I know, and we all need to work on this. I need to work on this. It's human nature to complain. I understand. So it's a good reminder. Thank you to Seneca.
Also a Stoic philosopher.
Yes. Also a girl on our soccer team from a long, long time ago. Her name was Seneca. I always thought that was very cool. Oh. Shout out.
Okay, yeah.
She ran really fast. She had really long legs. So her nickname was Two Stride Seneca.
Only used by Jen,
yes,
by the way.
Yes.
So that's it.
Uh-huh.
So these quotes can be taken and used to inspire you, to give you hope, and they're from all over the place. We think they're good things, even if they're not specifically Christian things.
Like this one from the Quran, the believers are but one brotherhood, so make peace between your brothers. Although I guess that could mean believers.
Only believers?
Yeah.
Well, the one above it says, "O you who believe, stand up as witnesses for God in all fairness, and do not let the hatred of a people deviate you from justice. Be just. This is closest to piety, and beware of God. Surely God is aware of all you do."
That's a good one.
So that one says, basically, even if you hate those people, be fair, be just. That's it.
And another one I do really like from the Quran is those who are patient in adversity and forgive wrongs are the doers of excellence.
Similarly, as far as patience is concerned, you have a Buddhist quote, "Endurance is one of the most difficult disciplines, but it is to the one who endures that the final victory comes."
Ooh, I love that for when I go on my long runs.
Sure, it gives you hope in your run, right?
Yes.
And that's what we're about.
Is one of the most difficult disciplines. I feel that way when I'm on a long run. That sun is blazing down on me.
Of course, this is not only about running, Jen.
Oh, sorry.
And if you're wondering, well, why religion at all? I think there are plenty of things within religion, specifically this quote from the Bhagavad Gita, man is made by his belief. As he believes, so he is.
So if you can choose to believe in something that is going to make you a good person or strive to be a good person, do that.
Yeah.
And, for those atheists out there listening, atheism, it is kind of its own religion because it has a set of beliefs that you follow, that there is no God, and you believe in that. You choose to believe in that.
Right. And if you have those beliefs and you kind of have a community of believers of atheists that all think that same way, suddenly you start looking more like a religion all by itself with no God, but that community. So you might have noticed we haven't focused on Christianity too much yet as far as quotes from the actual Bible, but I do want to highlight that there are similar religions like Christianity, specifically that we are Protestants as well. So there's Catholicism, which is very similar, if not the same religion as Christianity, Protestant Christianity. And then there's Mormon churches, which also have scriptures referring to Jesus and believe in Jesus. And then there's Judaism, which has the same history before Jesus as Christians do, but they don't usually believe in Jesus. There are some Messianic Jews, so put that out there. But those are all very similar. We share similar histories.
Well, even with like the Quran, for example, there are lots of verses in the Quran which are very similar to verses from the Christian Bible.
Yes, and they do acknowledge Jesus was a prophet, at least a prophet. So let's look at some good that has come from Christianity, not just Bible camp.
Yeah.
Or Bible school, vacation Bible school. So these are some of my favorites. Jen will throw in some of hers, maybe. We'll find out. One that I have written a song about, one that I like, is this passage, Matthew 6:25-34. It's all about not worrying. It's great for you, right, Jen?
I was going to say, I can definitely piggyback off of that one because worrying is something that I really struggle with. I'm talking every single day, multiple times a day, as I'm falling asleep, as I wake up. My brain just wants to make me think of horrible things that maybe could happen to my kids or my husband, and I just don't even know why that is happening in my brain. So I have to very actively push those thoughts out, and I have to actively tell myself, do not worry.
And that passage, it starts with talking about the birds of the air. They don't harvest, they don't plant, they don't do anything except pick up food when they need it.
Yeah, but that's not like us. So I don't get the comparison, really. That's nice for the birds. I think that's great. Way to go, birds. Live that life.
If God takes care of the creatures of the earth that way, how much more would he take care of us? That's the sentiment. Also, Proverbs. The whole book of Proverbs is full of good one or two liners.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a couple of favorites.
The one about farting early in the morning.
No,
that's a good one.
It's not farting.
Oh, well, it's something like that.
He who loudly blesses his neighbor in the morning, it will be taken as a curse.
Oh, that's for sure a fart. What else could it possibly be?
It's knocking on their door early, like, hey!
No, it's like your spouse lets one rip in the bed in the morning, and you're like, what?
Okay, well, maybe that's what it was.
Middle school boy humor, that's what I have.
I'm thinking of Proverbs 17:22, a cheerful heart doeth good like medicine.
What?
Doeseth good.
Oh, doeseth. Oh, it's doing the King James version here, huh?
I could do doeth.
Doeseth. Okay.
My mom would always use that one.
Yeah. My mom used to always say, and let's all remember our favorite Bible verse. and it came to pass. You know, you're always going through hard times, and sometimes you just need to remind yourself, like, it's gonna come to pass.
I've also used this other one in my classrooms, Proverbs 17:28, that even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent.
Did you tell your students that?
Absolutely, it was up on the board.
Oh my gosh.
But I took a different interpretation of this. You don't want to just look wise. That's no good. So I need all of you students to be fools and ask a lot of questions, because you're not going to actually be wise unless you open your mouth and ask those questions.
Oh, okay.
Most people think it's just telling you to shut up.
Yeah, that's how I initially interpret it, for sure.
Anyway, I think these are good things, good reminders, good ideas to take with you, to give you some hope that you can look wise.
Oh, thank goodness.
Just be quiet.
Shut your damn mouth.
Don't make a podcast about it.
Yeah. Oh.
Some other good things that I think came from Christianity for me were practices, like being a lawful citizen.
Yes, and I think this would probably go along with most religions and philosophies. Maybe not like hedonism or something. Well, I said philosophy, so then I thought about that one.
Right, but I think there was a little bit more weight on being a good lawful citizen, at least with regards to sins and transgressions.
Oh, gosh.
For the more legalistic version of Steve in his youth. That's me.
Okay, and that was good?
It kept me out of trouble
Yeah.
in some cases. Other things churches do in general is they do provide some community aid, whether it's through clothing drives or food drives. They do provide value to the community.
Yeah, and sometimes they provide childcare, not just for Sunday mornings, but if, say, you are part of a recovery group, they have these at churches, many churches, where it's a group for like Alcoholics Anonymous or something along those lines, and they provide childcare. So you get to go to this group and know that your kids are taken care of. These are good things.
While you're being taken care of.
Yes. I would love to see more of that happening in the church.
And we have seen it. We've been in inner city San Francisco when we were part of Azusa Pacific University, and we worked with YWAM, and they were working with homeless people, oftentimes, and helping them get back on their feet. And youth to see what they can do, how they can enact change in their communities. That's good.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, YWAM stands for Youth with a Mission. Yeah, so if churches could get more on board with helping their community, that would be great. We want to shift from such an emphasis on this being like some, political issue to argue about to, hey, we're a church, we're going to take action on this right now. We're going to go out into the community. We're going to help people right now. We're not going to argue about it. We're going to just go out and help.
And this goes well with your prayer book. You have lots. She wrote a prayer book by Justin Roberts and Scott Erickson and has a bunch of quotes and prayers that she wants to share with me, one of which goes well with this. May the depth and energy of my criticism be at least equaled by the depth of my commitment to help.
Oh my goodness. If we could just put that on blast for all the people, especially right now in the States, it's a crazy time. Elections are coming up. If people could really focus in on the sentiment behind those words, instead of being angry and oppositional and in fight mode, like this is some kind of battle, I think things could be a lot better.
Right, and if we're talking about focusing on the good or trying to see the good, this other prayer is also very good.
Yes, may I have the courage to expect good for my life and world and resilience if and when those expectations are disappointed.
So if whoever you want to be elected come November is not elected, remember that you have the courage to still expect good for your life and your world, even if you're disappointed.
Yes, and resilience if and when those expectations are disappointed. That is going to be a reality for some people after the election results come in. But it says resilience. It doesn't say anger. It doesn't say, now it's time to fight. It doesn't say Let's band together and do something.
Storm the Capitol?
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to?
Listen, let's just practice resilience and not anger. I think that would be better. I also love Mary Oliver. I've talked about her before, but she believes in God, and it's not a specific religion for her, but the way she talks about God in her poetry is just so good. So I'm going to share
A poem?
a couple of her poems.
Ooh, a couple.
Well, just excerpts. This one is the entirety, I think. It's called I Wake Close to Morning. Why do people keep asking to see God's identity papers when the darkness opening into morning is more than enough? Certainly any God might turn away in disgust. Think of Sheba approaching the kingdom of Solomon. Do you think she had to ask, is this the place?
If you're not familiar with Solomon, he is considered the richest king of all time.
Right. You're going to walk into that kingdom and you will absolutely know this is the kingdom of Solomon. Oh my gosh, it is amazing.
Gold everywhere.
Jewels. No, it's in DuckTales when the guy's like swimming in the money.
The guy, the duck. Scrooge McDuck, everyone.
It's been a little while. Oh my goodness. Another quote from her. This is just a quote from one of her poems. She says, "What misery to be afraid of death. What wretchedness to believe only in what can be proven." And this, for me, is a huge argument as to why I choose to believe in God. I choose that. It is my choice. I get it if it is not your choice. I understand. And I understand that I'm choosing, and I'm not saying, well, I know for sure there's a God. I know 100%. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I choose to believe in God because I think for me, there is more hope if I choose to believe in God than if I don't. I think there's more hope if I believe that there is an afterlife than if I don't. I have been able to cope much better with deaths in my family, believing that they are still out there doing something than just dust. And so I choose that.
And of course, when we had our episode a couple times back, talking about the good or the bad, we are going to talk a little bit about the bad here. And I'm going to totally derail this conversation for a brief story about college. My friends and I had this group called DSR. It stood for Del Scorcho Roulette.
I'm just shaking my head over here.
Didn't you participate in at least one Del Scorcho Roulette?
No. I did not. I was probably on the outskirts watching. I did not participate, no.
Anyway, it happened organically at some point. We would go bowling on Tuesday nights. It was $1 bowling for a game, and then we'd have $5, and we'd bowl 3 games, and then whoever won got some free tacos because we'd go right across the street to go to Del Taco. 3 tacos for $1 on Tuesday.
Right, I do remember that.
And we'd get a bunch of tacos.
And?
Del Scorcho sauce, which was hot.
Like these little packets of hot sauce.
And hot. Well, then one day we were eating and we ate them, and then there was a packet on the table, and one of us, I don't even remember who, just smashed it with their fist.
Was this inside?
We happened to be indoors.
Oh.
That was in Smith Hall lobby.
Oh,
it was
no.
already dirty in there. And we made it a little worse. So it started this thing called Del Scorcho Roulette, where we would sit around and do this, and you'd get it in your eye, it would burn, it's leaving rash marks on my friend Andy's face.
What do you mean roulette? You need to explain this a little bit better.
It evolved, it changed over time. First, we just started having a packet and smashing it in the middle of the table. You don't really know where it's going to go. You could hit yourself.
Oh, and that's how it's roulette.
Kind of. But then people got good enough. They could roll the pack a little bit and then hit it, certainly, and then it could squirt a direction. They could get good at it. So then we're like, no, let's switch this up. Let's bring a lazy Susan into this thing.
Oh, nice.
So you put the packet on. You could roll it. You could do whatever you want. You could fold it, and then you spin it. And now you don't have as much control. You're smashing that thing with your hand, and it's going everywhere. Anywhere.
Were you allowed to wear goggles or anything?
No.
Oh, gosh.
No.
This is why I did not participate.
It was just brutal and silly and messy and fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, all this to come back to how this gets here.
Yeah, how does this
We kind of
relate?
had a cult of sorts with this DSR. Tuesdays were bowling, tacos, DSR. Well, it happened that one Tuesday, sometime sophomore year, after starting this in freshman year, some of us just didn't want to go. We didn't want to bowl. We were tired of bowling. We didn't really want tacos. And we just said, no, we're not going to do it tonight. And a different friend who was one of the original members,
The OGs.
the founders of DSR, got upset.
Oh.
And said that these are major transgressions. You can't stop DSR. You've started it. You can't stop it. And then what ultimately happened was he refused to participate in future DSRs. Like, we went back to do it the next week, and he didn't want to do it. We ruined the streak.
Wow. I didn't know the history of that.
And so it ultimately faded. The last DSR we held in their apartment, mainly because DZ
Gross.
Bonko and DZ were such slobs.
These are names of his friends from college.
They already had food fights within their apartment, so we figured the DSR in their apartment was going to be totally fine. So we brought it to them. But the idea here is that, not that we were a religion of sorts, but it gave us hope, like, oh, Tuesday's going to be awesome. We're going to do this bowling and then tacos and hot sauce. And it gave us something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And for him, it really was that. And when it wasn't there anymore, if that could be taken away, he didn't want to be part of it at all.
Well, it sounds like he also got mad. And I definitely see the parallel here to a church.
Yeah.
You know, like you go and you're like, wow, I really love this. And like other people love it too. And then somebody leaves and it makes you mad. Or you start saying things like, well, they're just, they're sinning now or this or that.
And you take it out on yourself too. Like, you're punishing yourself because how could I believe in this? How could I ever think this was real? How could I think that my friends were with me on this when they don't show up that Sunday?
Oh, it gets so complicated.
It becomes rulesy and
Yeah.
legalistic.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bad thing. And we can learn. I have learned from my past legalism issues not to be that way about church, about religion.
There's no shortage of atrocities that are committed in the name of a religion. So there's that too. You have like, religion and hope and these good things. But then also you have religion and they're using the religion to do very, very bad things.
Yes. And followers make excuses for them, the bad things. And we don't like that. We're standing our ground here and saying that part of religion is bad. We shouldn't do that. For instance, I do not like any of the genocidal Old Testament passages.
I don't either.
I think they're bad.
Yeah.
I don't understand them.
Well, it's... Okay, this is going to be deep. Are you ready? The entire Christian narrative is weird to me. Because why did it have to be the case that Jesus comes to save us from our sins, but in order for it all to work, he has to die? If God is all powerful and all knowing and can do whatever he wants, he didn't have to make the narrative that of murder. And that's like that's a huge foundational piece of the Christian religion, is that Jesus was killed.
But I like that he died for me.
Yeah. It's tough for me to understand, and I wrestle with it.
It gives me hope that someone could care that much about me or about humanity.
It had to be death, though? I mean, it's hard.
I don't know. Would you rather it be a life of...
It could have been whatever he wanted it to be. God could have created whatever he wanted it to be.
a field of flowers?
Sure. Like you walk through this gate and you enter into a field of flowers and you're good to go. I don't know. It's just that was the narrative that was chosen. That's hard.
Yeah. And so we don't want to shy away from these things.
No, and we certainly don't want to come across as, well, we figured it all out and we are Christian and we understand it. It's like, I believe in God. I certainly do not understand most things.
Yeah, so in addition to what I don't like about genocidal Old Testament passages, I don't like harm done now because of or from religion. That could be anyone trying to say that they're a special messenger from God and take advantage of people. I really would prefer if there was some sort of Hippocratic oath for believers in the effect of doing no harm to fellow believers and other people in the world.
I can't help but think of abortion rights right now, and how I would venture to say that the people of Christian faith in general are anti-abortion, but what this is turning into is a complete mess of completely taking away the choice from the woman and pushing your beliefs based on your religion onto another person. And that does not make sense to me.
Which could harm that other person.
And there are plenty of stories coming out about that happening. They don't have access to the care that they need because the doctors are too afraid to perform an abortion, even if the woman's health is in danger.
Now, before we derail us too far with abortion, there's obviously the other side with Christians. Do no harm to the fetus, the actual baby human. So recognize that there are two sides to this. I think Jen has made her point. And I want to just read parts of the Hippocratic Oath and see if you can figure out where believers could fit into this. This is the modern version of the Hippocratic Oath. I will respect the hard-won religious gains of those theologians in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow. I did change a couple of words.
I mean, when you read hard one, I thought you meant hard one, like the number one. I was so confused. I'm like, what's hard one? What's a hard one? I will respect the hard-won scientific gains.
I used religious or theological.
Of those physicians in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow.
So we're talking about as religion has happened. We'll just take Christianity since Jesus was here. And we've done different things. We've done things differently. That's change. That's theological gains. And then we're going to share that knowledge with those who are to come after us. We don't want to go backwards and have only a patriarchal system. We don't want that. We're going to take the religious and theological gains from previous theologians and move forward.
Well, that makes me think of Henry David Thoreau. He wrote Walden Pond, and he talks a lot about spiritual things, philosophical things, reflections in nature and whatnot. One of the things he talks about in that essay is skimming the cream off of the top of the milk and ingesting that, and how good that is, and rich and creamy and delicious. It's the best part of the milk. And the way I see it is we have this religion, or we have science, and then we have the gains that come from religion or science. And then we skim those off the top. And then we take what we've skimmed and then we skim off the top of that, and we keep skimming, and we just get this rich cream on the top of good things. Now, the problem, I already know, is that the definition of gains for religion is different depending on who you talk to.
Sure.
So that's why we are going to continue the conversation between us and whoever wants to talk to us about religion and about what is good.
We want to focus on the good. And something that I think is good about the Hippocratic Oath, I mean, think of the grace you give doctors and science in this. Think about giving yourself the grace in your faith, in religion in general. Here's the phrase: I will not be ashamed to say I know not.
Yeah, that is in the Hippocratic Oath. This is for doctors who have studied science, trials, medical trials. They have memorized every bone in the body. They know things. And yet,
they want to leave room.
You can't be ashamed to say, I don't know. Because our bodies, our physical bodies, are complex. And yes, we have, this is this disease and this is that disease. But
this is this sin. This is that sin.
Everybody's body is different, and they might react differently to medicines. And sometimes you just have to step back and say, I don't know. And that, yes, is the same as religion, where you step back and you say, hey, this is a really incredible, but also very intense life that we get to live on this earth. And there are so many things going on. We can't possibly have the answers to all of this. And it's okay to say, I don't know.
But we can look at what the past has done. with what they knew, and any bad actions that a religion has committed,
and leave those aside. Like
we can do
you
better.
Just skim off the top of that. Like just take the good from that. Leave the rest behind. Yeah.
And so I come back to this. I keep coming back to hope. That religion, specifically for me, Christianity, gives me hope. Hope in something bigger and better than myself. Bigger and better than what I currently love about this world. But it also reminds me of my favorite movie.
Oh boy.
If you know me, it's Shawshank Redemption. Here's a quote about hope from Red, as in Morgan Freeman's character. Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane.
So why is hope a dangerous thing?
You might do something crazy because you hope for the thing that you believe in. Those people in Shawshank Redemption are incarcerated. So hope to get out was dangerous. He was referring to that it would drive you crazy, that you can't get out of this. You can't get out of prison just like that. If your hope is to leave this life for a better life somewhere else, but you're stuck in this life, that's a dangerous thing.
To bring it to a real life example and not a movie, no offense, but in Elie Wiesel's book, Night, he talks about the exact same thing. How hope is incredibly dangerous, but also at the same time, what keeps you going? And if you lose hope, those are the people who die faster. So it's still even complicated.
Ultimately, Andrew Dufresne, Tim Robbins' character, says hope is a good thing. Maybe the best of things. And no good thing ever dies. We'll leave you with this last prayer from Justin McRoberts.
May I have the eyes to see this as a good world in need of restoration rather than a bad world and an obstacle to my personal peace and rest.
We are Red Weather Christians.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Steve.
And remember, cheer the good.
Don't boo the bad.